President Biden travels to Europe this morning to meet with NATO and G7 allies amid the war in Ukraine. So for more on this, we want to bring in Ed O'Keefe. Ed's already in Brussels ahead of the president's visit, waiting for him to arrive. So Ed, let's get into this. There are a number of summits taking place. He's going to be meeting with a variety of people. What will the president be doing exactly? And is this going to be, a show of support and a show of unity is great, but I think we need a little more than a show.
Yeah, well, good to see you, Anne-Marie, from the Center of European Diplomacy, where they're putting together 3 hastily arranged summits, all to be held tomorrow. The first is what NATO is calling an extraordinary summit, and it is extraordinary in the essence that normally these meetings take about a month or a year to prepare for, and this one, officially at least, has just come together in the last week or so. So he'll hold that meeting first at NATO headquarters. He's also meeting with members of the G7 to discuss the economic aspects of the ongoing response, the sanctions, and other elements that need to be coordinated. And then he'll also meet with the European Commission, part of the European Union, which already was scheduled to have meetings this week here in Brussels. That gives him a chance to address European leaders from across the continent as this crisis intensifies. Remember, you've heard the president say, you heard the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan say yesterday that this crisis is expected to continue for a while, likely to get more violent and worse before it is resolved. And so by bringing the NATO leaders together, there can be more intimate, more direct talk without the virtual pausing and whatnot that happens in these video conferences about military deployments, about what else may be done to help Ukrainians inside their country, and then help Ukrainians, of course, who have dispersed across this continent and around the world since the crisis began.
You mentioned sanctions. Of course, sanctions work much better when multiple nations are all on the same page. We're going to be hearing more about sanctions against Russia?
That's right. The White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan again yesterday saying that there will be talk during the meetings tomorrow about new sanctions against Russia, but also bolstering the enforcement mechanisms or putting some teeth on the sanctions that have already been announced to ensure that those that are being targeted around the world can't continue to evade the punishments. That signals that there's probably going to be a little more detail shared about how the United States, for example, is working with other European countries to go after oligarchs with ties to Vladimir Putin. How are they seizing their assets? How are they tracking down the yachts, for example, the real estate they may own here in Europe and across the world, or their other money wherever it may be hidden? Remember, we believe on paper, the estimates are, that Vladimir Putin is in essence worth more than $125 billion, but that wealth is spread out across associates in the Russian government, oligarchs who live in Russia, outside of Russia. Even some of his relatives and current and former lovers are in possession of some of this wealth. And so we're likely going to hear a little more about the ongoing coordination to get that done.
There's reports that Ukrainian President Zelensky may address the meetings virtually. Ukraine has been pushing for EU and NATO membership, but said yesterday that it will renounce membership in return for a Russian ceasefire, if, of course, they want to sit down and actually talk about peace. Does that complicate things a little bit?
It could. It certainly could, because while these 2 major European alliances, the EU and NATO, have said no to Ukraine, or not yet, in recent years, that's partly due to domestic political problems that the country was having in terms of its elections and other corruption concerns that weren't up to snuff with other EU members. But now, of course, to have them renounce membership in either alliance as part of a negotiated settlement to this crisis could be seen as another win for Vladimir Putin. So I'm sure there'll be some conversation about whether or not Zelensky should do that, with an acknowledgement that ultimately it is up to him to figure out a way, to be involved in figuring out a way to end this crisis. But Zelensky's latest virtual address to any one of these meetings will come amid his extraordinary virtual world tour, where he's been addressing world congresses or parliaments, whether it's the Americans last week, the Canadians, the Brits, the Spanish, and yesterday in a conversation with the Pope, urging him to become more engaged in this, to renounce what Vladimir Putin is doing, and to more actively engage on the issue. No other world leader right now has that kind of political capital and global support, at least in the Western world, or in the democratic, lowercase d democratic world, to go around the world lecturing his counterparts and saying, you've got to do more to help me. But given the crisis, given the intrigue around Zelensky, they want to hear from him. They will benefit from hearing from him. The world certainly is still intrigued by what he has to say. He knows that, and so he'll continue to apply pressure.
Yeah, and you're right about lecturing, because he really doesn't pull any punches during these virtual meetings. Ed, thank you very much.
Yeah.